Hello, are you hearing me? Hello, hello, hello. Are you hearing me? Hello, are you hearing me? Hello, hello. Hello, Hello,
Hello,
Amikande.
Amikante.
We have here
We have
Awan Jaya as well.
Awan Jaya as well, who does
Nothing.
nothing.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Sorry, I'm late for the class. I hope you guys have not started.
The class
The
normally
class
starts
normally
5.
starts 5:30.
We have lot to do.
We have
5:30,
lot to
okay.
do, so
We need
we need
to.
to.
Are you guys hearing me?
Yes, we are getting you, yeah.
Okay. So let's just start this. I think we have lost like 10 minutes already. So we will continue with our where we stopped last class. I think we stopped at shift in demand curve. I have shared some materials
Yeah.
as well as the audio. So I'm gonna go straight and start the class. We have waited for like 10 or 11 minutes. And how was the last class and the material I sent to you? Hope you people were able to read ahead.
Yeah, I read chapter 1. I was able to read the chapter 1, the market forces and market forces of demand and supply.
All right, so we will go through the same thing. So we will look at shift in demand curve. So we have already explained this when we said shift in demand curve. It's about increase or decrease in demand. So the best way is to visualize it. Let's say this is our demand curve. We have a demand curve where we have the price on our vertical axis, and then we have the quantity on our horizontal axis. Let's assume exactly this is our original demand curve here. So when we talked about shift in demand curve, we are talking about movement. Let's assume maybe the price is here, and this is original price, and the quantity is this. So for some reasons, when we talk about demand curve, obviously we are saying that the price is constant. So the shift is the same as change in demand curve. So it can mean many things. So it can mean like in shift to the right, or shift to the.
Ale?
So can we mute our mic, please? We are talking to a third party, please. All right. So when we say the shift in demand curve, the shift can either be, it can be increase or decrease in demand. So it could be increase in demand. We have talked about this in the last class. Increase in demand. Or decrease in demand. So when we talk about decrease in demand, we are talking about when the demand curve shift from here to the left. So we can just say shift to the left. It's the same thing. So shift to the left, that is decrease in demand. We will visualize this. This is the same as what shift to the right. So, but this shift to the left or right is caused by other factors. they are caused by factors other than price. So price is constant. So what are these factors? Let's look at these factors. It could be one, change in consumer income. It could be that. We'll look at all of them one by one. So consumer income could change, or the change could be increase or decrease. So it could be consumer income. Change in consumer income will shift the demand curve. So also when we look at change in consumer income, we look at it whether the good is a normal good or inferior good. We have to look at these two scenarios. The change could be what? Caused by price of related goods. So when we look at price of related goods, we will also look at whether the two goods, whether they are substitute goods or complement goods. We will also look at those cases. Or complement good. We will also look at the test of the buyer, the test. We will also look at the expectation of the buyers, the expectation about future economic activities, and the last one, the number of buyers. So these are factors or variables that will cause demand curve either to shift to the right. This should be shift to the left, not demand.
Left, yeah.
So we have this test expectation. So these are the factors that will make the demand curve to shift to the right or shift to the left. And if it shifts to the right, we call this what? Increase. This one is what? Increase in demand. No, increase in demand. So when it shifts here, then we have decrease in demand. So this is what we will look at today. Then once we finish it, then we will also look at the behavior of suppliers. So let's look at a situation whereby we have increase in demand. So if we have an increase in demand, could be caused by a factor. These factors, we will look at them where they increase, decrease, we try to graph them. But let's look at a typical case. Let's look at increase in demand. How does it look like graphically?
Okay, Mr. Ture, so the one you just illustrated is decrease in demand.
No, I illustrated both of them because if you look at the arrow, this is increase in demand.
Yeah, I'm seeing the arrow, left and right. Okay, go on.
So I'm just trying to put more emphasis on it. We look at them, in details here. So we also look here at decrease in demand. The other part, this is decrease in demand. So let's look at how this could be caused by the factors we mentioned, but we will look at all those factors in detail later. So let's assume that we started with this demand curve. This is the original demand curve. So here you have the quantity of the good, quantity of the good demanded. Then here we have the price on the vertical. Let's assume that this is the demand. Let's say that at the price here is, let's say 4. And the quantity demanded was what? Let's say 3. So let's say that due to one of these factors, like consumer income or something changed, and then we have increase in demand. How do we represent increase in demand? Remember, this is the original graph. So let's say that because there is one of these factors that change, that make demand to increase, how do we represent that graphically? You understand? So all what we will do, it will lead towards shift in demand. So this demand curve will shift because we said increase in demand, and increase in demand means that when a demand curve shifts to the right, so this will shift to the right. It means to increase like this. So we will have a new demand curve here. But the price, remember that we said that increased or shift in demand, price remained constant. So we will have the same price here. But this will be our new demand, which will be, let's say, 5. So at the same price, our quantity demanded increased from 3 to 5. So the change there is 2. So the change in demand is not due to price, but it could be due to what? Increase in income.
Quantity.
So maybe because income increases, and that leads to what? Shift in demand curve, which lead to increase in quantity demanded from 3 to 5. So quantity demanded increases. So this is what we mean by increasing demand. You understand? So the demand curve shift, but that increase in demand from 3 to 5 is not caused by price, but it's caused by another factors. It could be one of these factors, which we will look at them, we'll look all of them in details later. So when we say decrease in demand, let's say that this is our original position. Then the quantity demanded at the price of 4, just like here, was 3. Let's say that because some of these factors, there is a change in them, and due to that demand decrease, then we will have a leftward shift in demand. So demand will decrease, it will shift inward. So we will have a new demand curve here at the same price. So this will be at the same price, but the quantity change maybe to 2. So we see that, there is this is our old demand curve. This is our new demand curve. So we see that there is a decrease in quantity demanded. But this decrease is not caused by price, but it's caused by other factors like this, 1, 2, 3, up to 4. So this is what we mean by increase or decrease in demand. So let's look at these factors that cause demand to change. So let's look at, first we start with income. So how does change in income affect demand, quantity demanded of a good? So let's look at how a change in income affects the consumer income. So let's see this. We are going to look at 2 cases whereby what? The income increase, and we'll also look at a case whereby income decrease. We are going to look at this case. So we are going to look at a case, if income increase also, we are going to look at whether the good is also normal good. I hope you guys are seeing.
Yeah.
Okay, whether it's a normal good or inferior good. So we are also here, also the same thing apply. If income, consumer income decrease, we are also look at a case whereby the good is normal. Or inferior good. So we are going to look at how many cases. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Understand? So we will look at scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3, and scenario 4. We look at this. So let's call this one scenario 1, 2, 3. So let's look at first when consumer income increase, how does it affect demand curve? So we look at a situation whereby consumer income increase So what we are going to do, we will look at two cases. So let's say that the good is what? Normal good. And the other one, it's
inferior.
It's inferior. So we have a normal good here. This is a normal good. That is case one, scenario one. And here, scenario two, the good is it's an inferior good. So first, let's draw original demand curve. Then we have price here. And here we have quantity. Let's say this is the original. Let's assume that the price here is what? Is 4. And the original here is what? Is 2. So let's assume that consumer, we say that consumer income increased. So an increase in consumer income, how will it affect the normal goods? What it will do is that when income increased, the demand for normal good will also increase. So the demand curve will shift to the right. So we will have a demand curve that will shift like here. So at the same price. So what we will do, we extend this, and then we will have a new quantity demanded, which could be, let's say 4. So this, what the takeaway here is that if income increase in income, it will lead to what? Increase in the quantity demanded of normal
good.
Normal good. So quantity demanded of normal good will increase. So can we say the same thing for inferior good? That's not the case. So for inferior good, if demand increases, if income increases, then the quantity demanded of the inferior good will decrease. So let's assume that this is our original demand curve at a price of 4. That was our original price. Then the quantity demanded was 2. Let's assume that there is an increase in income. Then their consumption of inferior good will reduce. That is the loss of demand. So we have it here. So maybe the quantity demanded will reduce from 2 to 1. So the takeaway here is that if income increases, this is our income, it will lead to what? Reduction in quantity demanded, provided that the good is what? Inferior good. So why this? For example, like normally, let's say that breakfast it depends on, can you classifying as an inferior or normal good? We expect that if your salary increase, the quality of your breakfast, normally it will go up. If we are buying like a half bread, if you have an increase in income that comes as a result of promotion, then maybe you will be buying full bread. So that is a normal good. But for example, if your income increase, most probably if we are taking Gele Gele to work, maybe you will change and take a taxi, cab. So these are some of the things. So like we can say that transportation for you, you understand, you are using, how to call it, like let's say a commercial vehicle. So there is a promotion, then you decided to, so your consumption of this Gele Gele will go down. You will upgrade. So these are some of the things we can compare. So your income increases, then your consumption of certain goods will go down. We can give a lot of examples to it. So it could be like maybe you are using the oldest version of Samsung. So once your income increases, you will not increase maybe you don't like the model. So you just drop that model and go for a better model. So these are some, so normally in economic textbook, this is what you will normally see, you understand? But if they don't make it clear, but once they said an increase in income, and they didn't tell you whether it's a normal good or inferior, you have to assume that it's a normal good. But some question will ask you, if income increase, what will happen to, if income increase like this, what will happen to the quantity demanded? What will happen to this? So what happens to quantity demanded depend on whether the good is a normal good or is an inferior good. So if an inferior good, the quantity demanded will increase. Sorry, if it's a normal good, the quantity demanded will increase. But if it's an inferior good, the quantity demanded will go down. These are the laws of demand and supply. So your income, when it increases, it depends on the type of good you are consuming. If it's a normal good, the quantity demanded will increase. If it's an inferior good, the quantity demanded will go down. I hope that is clear.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to the second variable that can cause a shift in demand curve, which is, I think, was price of related good. So let's look at price of, even before that, so we talked about increase in demand, but if it's decrease in demand, it will be opposite. So there is no need for us to talk about this one. It's just the opposite of this. So when there is a decrease in income and the good is normal, you understand, then the quantity demanded goes down. When there is a decrease in income of a consumer, if it's an inferior good, the quantity demanded goes up. So you can use graph and just represent it. So here, what will happen, you have this original demand curve. So there will be a shift here.
Hello? Inferior. If income increases, it will lead to the amount of normal good. Income. Mr. Ture?
Hello. Hello, Mr. Ture.
Yeah, Wanja, are you hearing me?
Yes, I was not hearing you earlier.
Okay. So we only have you online, so we continue. Then the rest they can read from the textbook or get the audio if it's possible. So you wanted to ask a
Yes,
question?
please, before we carry on, I want to make something clear about the inferior goods.
Okay.
Is it that if the income decreases, it will lead to the quantity, it will lead to the quantity of inferior goods?
Exactly. Like let's say like your consumption of bread and butter, let's look at that. Like
Yes.
let's say that you have a promotion. Maybe you will stop consuming bread and butter. Instead of bread and butter, you will eat something like let's say bread and egg. Or just say,
Yes.
you understand. So when your income increases, you will stop eating bread and butter. You might look for something that is more expensive than that. So because of your income increase, your consumption of bread and butter reduce. So bread and butter is
Yeah.
an inferior good for you. You know. So if your income increase and you stop consuming something, that is an inferior good. But if your income increase, but your consumption of that particular thing increases more, then it's a normal good for you. Yeah. So that's how we looked at it. If income increases, you should have to ask whether this goods is normal or inferior. But most of our good that we consume, they are normal goods. All right. So after that, then let's look at the price of related good. Let's say we looked at, let's say fish and meat. Let's look at that will be a good example. So let's look at, we are studying the demand for fish, or let's say meat. So let's say this is meat. We are looking at the demand for meat. And let's say this is here the price of meat and quantity demanded. Or to make it even more realistic in Gambian case, let's say this is fish. Let's say this is fish. We are studying the demand for fish. So let's say that this was the original demand curve, and the price of fish, let's say, is 3. You understand? And the quantity demanded at that was, let's say, 4. So for some reason, you understand, let's say that there is an increase, you understand, in the increase in the price of what? Meat. So how will this affect the quantity demand, the fish market? So if the price of meat increase, what will happen to the quantity demanded of fish? So that's what we mean by that. If there's an increase in the price of fish, sorry, meat, how will this affect the quantity demanded of fish? This is what we want to know. So that's why we said price of related good. So let's assume that the price of meat increase. If that happens, many people will abandon the consumption of meat and start consuming fish. And because of that, the demand for fish will increase. So if the demand for fish increases, then we can represent this as an outward shift or increasing the demand for fish. So at the price of 3, which is constant, then the quantity demanded of fish will increase from 4, let's say, to 6. So we are looking at the impact, the relationship between 2 goods, the price of one good and the quantity demanded of another good. In this case, we are looking at the price of meat and the quantity demanded of fish. We assume that there is an increase in the price of meat. So because of that, it leads to what? Increased in the quantity demanded of fish. And if this happens, we say that these two goods are what? Substitute goods.
Yeah. Increase in quantity.
So in this case, we can say that these goods are substitute. So we move from A to B. So this change is what is the shift, is what increase in demand. From A to B is what increase in demand as a result of what? Increase in the price of meat. Because meat and fish, they are substitute goods. So what will happen if the two goods are complement? Let's look at what scenario 2. If the two goods are complement, let's take what? Book and pen. These two goods are complement goods. So let's look at a scenario whereby the two goods are complement goods. Let's look at that. So still with the price of related goods. So here we can just say substitute. It's a situation whereby the two goods are substitute. So let's look at a scenario whereby the two goods are what? Complement. So let's look at a scenario whereby the two goods are complement. And here also, it could be, we talked about what? Here we talked about increased in the price of meat, but there's a possibility also whereby the price of meat goes down. So if the price of meat goes down, then the quantity demanded of fish will go down. So the quantity demanded of fish will go down. So that is a possibility. Here we talked about what? Increase in the price of related good. But what would happen if the price of related good reduce? If the price of related good reduce, people will change from eating, demanding fish to demanding meat. So I hope that is clear. Yeah, is it Yawanjai?
Yes.
Okay, so it could go both ways. The price of related good, it can increase or decrease. So we need to know how to analyze it, whether it increase or decrease. So I think you are the only one who is online for now. So we continue.
Yeah, for now.
So we have price of related goods. Let's say that the price of related goods, what happens? It increases, but it can decrease as well. So we need to know, that's the opposite analysis. So let's say that two goods. First is what? A book. Or in fact, the typical case, the best case will be what? A car. Let's say a car. Let's say petrol. Here, the demand for petrol. So let's say that I'm trying to make this as realistic as possible. So this is quantity demanded for petrol and the price of petrol. So let's say that before there was a change in demand, here the price was 2 and the quantity demanded was 7. So let's say that for some reason, we have car here. Let's say that the prices of car increases. So increase in the price of cars. So when the prices of cars increases, you understand, people will not buy a car and the demand for petrol will go down. You understand? So increase in the price of car will lead to what? Decrease in the quantity.
Quantity of petrol.
Exactly, quantity demanded of petrol. So when the increase in the price of one good leads to decrease in quantity demanded of another good, we call them what? Complement goods. Complements. They are complements. They help each other. You understand? If you look at also their arrows, normally they have opposite arrows. But if you look at for the case of substitute, the arrows are what? move in the same direction. So when this,
Direction, yeah.
exactly. So here, because the price of car increases, you understand, the price of cars increases, so the demand for petrol will reduce. And it will, when it reduces, we say that it shifts to the left. So we'll have a demand that will shift here. So at the same price, the quantity demanded for petrol will reduce maybe to 4. So here we talked about increasing the price of car, but it can also be what? Decrease in the price of car. It could go both ways. So that will be opposite analysis of this. So that's what we mean by price of related goods. So when we said price of related goods, we are talking about how a change in the price of one good affects the quantity demanded of another good. So in this case, it's like the two goods are complement, that is petrol and car. So we said that if the price of car increases, what will happen to the quantity demanded of petrol? And for a complement case, it will reduce. And we represent it here graphically. So the quantity demanded decreased from 7 to 4. So the other variable that can cause shift in demand is test. You understand? Is test. So let's look at a situation, a test. So 3. So for a test, the relationship between tests, for example, if someone test is positive, you understand, as a positive test, or let's say the positive test, or we can say the test increase, obviously it will lead to increase in demand. So in a situation whereby the test becomes negative or the test decrease, then the it will lead to a decrease in demand. And obviously by now we all know how to represent decrease in demand. So decrease in demand is like shifting the demand curve to where? A decrease in demand, what does it mean?
Decrease in demand.
Yeah.
It means that there is increase.
Like we are
increase in price.
No, decrease in demand means that the demand curve shifts to the left. So if you have
okay,
demand curve like this, so if the
the other one is to the right. I was lost. Sorry.
Yeah, I realize it. You are not with us or with me.
Yeah, you know, somebody just stepped in the room, so I was a little bit distracted. But I got what you're saying.
Exactly. So there is no need for me to draw the graph. This means that the demand curve will shift here. So the increase in test or positive test means that the demand curve will shift to the right, like this.
To the right.
So another variable also is expectation. Expectation can affect our current demand for a product. So we have expectation, and normally expectation, like if it's a positive expectation, if we expect that, for example, your income, if we expect that the future will be good or income will increase,